Okay, finally we're going to be doing the mockups, which is the last part of this project, and it's probably the easiest. So again, we already have all these made, and we're gonna create the billboard mockup, the DVD mockup, and the bus shelter mockup. So let's go ahead and open up. We'll start off with the billboard mockup, and if we look in here, I'm just gonna go through. So there's mockup 1, there's a Photoshop file and a JPEG to it. Mockup 2 and mockup 3. So let's just go ahead and preview them. So the first one has this angle, the second one is head on, and the third one has this angle. So it's up to you which one you want to choose. So go ahead and open up whichever one you want. Just to make things easy, I'm just going to choose the first one. It really does not matter because we're taking advantage of smart objects here. So we're going to open one up. And if I see here, pretty much the mockup is already made. Let me go ahead and close my timeline. So I could close my layers. Let me close this. And so I have a couple different layers here. So I have one of them is going to be my plate, which is going to be the title or whatever here. I could put whatever I want, and one of them is going to be my design here, which reminds me, I'm going to go back to my digital assets, and I'm going to create the title. That's the one that I did not create, and you guys should know how to do. For this, I'm going to go into my digital assets, and I'm going to go into my links, and I'm going to find my JPEGs, and I believe it is my, let me check out this. So my 4320 by 1080, we're lucky that this actually fits right on here. So I'm going to open up this design smart object, and that just has this blank layer there. And basically what this is what's going to go here. So when I update it here, it's going to create the change over there. So what I'm going to do is go into my links, go into my JPEG, and go and select my 4320 by 1080, and I'm just going to click and drag it, and I'm going to place it in here, and notice how it falls right into place. So this is perfect. If we would have created something that was not this exact size, it would not fit, and we would essentially just have to treat this as another digital asset and create the background, expand it, and all that stuff. Now, since this is a billboard, we don't have those limitations to here. We would be able to move everything around. However, I brought in the JPEG, so if I look at my layers, I only have the smart object. It's a JPEG. If I wanted to move things around, I would actually have to open up my Photoshop file for that 4320 by 1080 and bring all that in here, and then I could move them around. So to make it easy, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna save it. So this is just the JPEG I brought in that keeps my file small. And if I go back to my mockup, I could see it working there. And one thing that I could do is, I noticed that there's like some really harsh highlights right there, and I do not want those. So let me open up the mockup and see what we have. So we have this adjustment layer that affects everything. I have this highlights layer, so I could always click on that one and just lower the opacity. So maybe about 30%. And I'm going to go ahead and call that good. So then I could save this as a JPEG. However, I'm going to show you how to do it the longer way if we want to change some of these assets around. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to use this 4320 by 1080 as a template. I'm going to click 5 on my keyboard, so that gives me an opacity of 50%. Now I'm going to open up my Photoshop file, my 4320 by 1080. Open that one. And I want to select my art folder. And I'm going to drag that into this design.psb file, drop it in here. and I'm going to check to see what size this is, the 4320 by 1080. So I'm going to do Command or Control T. It is 13.33%. I doubt that's going to work out exactly, so I'm going to just drag this up, and I'm going to select my art file, Command T. They're probably at different, that other image was probably at 72 pixels. So let me try 13. That is not going to work. So I'm manually going to have to guess on this. So I'm going to scale it up here. Roughly there. Maybe try 55. Looks close-ish. Let me try 56. And I'm going to go ahead and call that good. So I'm going to press return or enter. Okay, so now I have all my layers in there. And let me go ahead and turn off this 4320 by 1080, which I was simply using as a guide. And I notice my title changes a little bit. So again, I could go in here and just make that effect a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go to bevel and emboss, and I'm going to change the depth down to maybe about 100. I'm going to go about halfway here, about 100, and I'm going to change the size to maybe 2 and click OK. So that looks a lot better. And now, since it's my billboard, I could move some of these elements around. So I'm going to make something completely different on this one. So I'm going to bring the plane from the left hand side. I'm going to select the plane and move it over here. I'm going to bring these guys up. So I'm going to select them. And they are here. So I'm going to resize them. So I'm going to do Command or Control T. Make them a lot bigger here. Press return or enter. I'm going to move the title maybe over here. Maybe I want to make it bigger. Command or Control T. Scale it up. Press return. Now maybe I want to make it a little bit dark behind and maybe bring in some of that blue. So what I could do is under the title, so I'm going to click on this fire copy, and I'm going to make an adjustment layer with a solid color. Click OK. Now I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to double click on the color, which is black right now, and I'm going to sample this blue over here. Click OK. Now I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to select the mask and then do Command or Control I to swap it. So now it is filled with black. We cannot see it. Now I'm going to press on my brush, and I want to start showing some of that blue. So I'm going to switch this to white and normal 10%. Make my brush a little bit smaller and just start brushing a little bit behind the title. And maybe I could change this, select the layer and change it to multiply. Seems to work a little bit better. And now we could turn it off and on, and we could see the title works a little bit nicer there. And let me change, let me move this guy here in the sky. And I'm going to do Command or Control T, resize him, and bring him in between here. And there we go. So now there's our new banner, or our new billboard. Let me save that, Command or Control S. And let me go back to my mockup. So now that has changed. Let me do undo. So this was the before, based off of the digital asset. This one is the after, based off of what I just made right now. So now once I save that, I could close it. I could save this one. And I'm going to close this digital asset, no longer need it. Maybe I don't want this highlight. I'm not sure if I want it or not, or maybe I'll just tone it down a little bit more, maybe a 10%. And now I'm just going to simply save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to do Command. Actually, let's export it for web. So that always makes it the smallest size possible. Well, actually, before I do that, I could change this little plate. So I could double click on the smart object for that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the title and just put it there. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to open up this smart object again, this design, and then that way I could pull it out. So I'm going to go to my title folder and I'm going to drag that one into this plate PSB file, drag it in, and then I'm going to do Command or Control T, and I'm going to scale it down just enough to where it fits in there. And I'm going to press Return or Enter. And then I want a background color for it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a black. So I'm going to do a solid color adjustment layer at the bottom of my layers panel. Do black, click OK, and I'm going to drag that underneath the title. And if I simply save it and I go back to my mockup, and there we go, our title is right here. And so now I could go ahead and save it. So I could do File, Export, Save for Web Legacy, and I'm going to change this back to a JPEG. Make sure it is high, quality of 60. I'm going to drag this around so I can see some of the details. If I notice that it all looks pretty good without anything major wrong with it, so it's not losing quality, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'm going to save this actually outside within my movie campaign folder, actually within my billboard mockup, and I'm going to save it. And it tells me if I want to replace it. I'm going to go ahead and replace it, replace, and then I could close this mockup. I'm going to save it, and I could close this plate. I could close this the actual smart object for the billboard, and so now I have my JPEG within my billboard mockup, and it was number 1, so I could preview that. So that's going to be one of the ones you turn in. So the next part of it was we did our billboard. Now we're going to do a DVD mockup and the bus shelter mockup. So let's go ahead and open up our bus shelter mockup. Go ahead and open this one up. I have my name on this one, so you could go ahead and do a file save as and save it with your name. Again, we're going to open up this smart object where it says place artwork here, and we have our poster here open, so that's going to make it a lot easier. I'm going to open this here. So I want to go to my my movie poster. I want to do the 11:17 merged file, so I'm going to do Command or Control A. Then I'm going to go to Edit, Copy Merged, select this top one, this topmost layer, and then do Edit Paste. And I'm going to name this 11:17. Press Return or Enter, then convert it into a smart object. And I'm going to bring this into my rectangle PSB file. And I'm going to do Command or Control T and resize it to where it fits the best within here. Now, again, I might have to do a little bit of editing, but for the most part, it's pretty close. So I'm going to scale it up here. So if I lose a little bit of the top and the bottom, that's okay. Or, again, you could make it match the top and the bottom and just expand the sides a little bit. So either way, I'd rather, for me to make it easy, I'd rather make it fill in these side edges and lose a little bit here. Maybe I could bring the plane down, bring it up. So I'm going to press Return or Enter. So if I do Command T, it was at 49.62%. I'm going to press 5 to bring it at, to have it at 50% because I'm using it as a guide. Now I'm going to go into my movie poster, turn off this 11:17, select the rating, hold Shift, and select the very bottommost layer. So not rating, but just your topmost layer and the bottommost layer. Select everything, and then I'm going to go ahead and drag this over to my rectangle layer, drop it in. Click on the little folder icon at the bottom of my layers panel, and I'm going to name this Arts. Press return or enter. I'm going to bring it below the 11 by 17 layer. Again, select that one, Command Control T, copy the width or the height because they should be the same. Press return or enter. And I'm going to select my art, Command or Control T, and I'm going to select the height or the width and paste that in. Press return or enter. And once it does that, all I have to do is simply just move it into position and turn off my 11 by 17, save it, and it should be applied to my billboard. So let me move it into position here. Zoom in once I'm pretty close. And I'm going to move it up until find a reference point. So I'm looking at this guy coming down right here. And I'm going to move it up until it is sharp. So now I'm going to do Command or Control 0 so it's in the perfect place. Turn off my 11 by 17. On this one I could leave any ratings, or I could leave any billing block. You might have to move it up depending. So you could always move everything up as a group and then move individual elements. So if I wanted to, I could bring the plane down a little, but I think it's good. So now if I go ahead and save this and close it, so it'll close once it saves. And then now if I go into my bus shelter mockup, there it is. And let me go ahead and save this. And then go ahead and save this as a export, save for web. And again, JPEG, you could do high, very high. Let's go ahead and do high. Make sure it all looks pretty good, which it does. And let's go ahead and save it. And I'm going to place it in the let's see, this is going to go just right here, because I guess I did not have a folder for this. It's just the bus shelter. So just within my movie campaign folder, I'm going to go ahead and save this JPEG. So that's another one you're going to turn in, the JPEG for this. Close that one. Save it. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my DVD case mockup. So again, let's preview these. So I have several different cases. So I think what I want to do is maybe this mockup 3. I just want to display the front. If you want to go ahead and show the back, you have this one. If you want to go ahead and do the whole spread like this, you could do that. I'm going to keep it easy and just do mockup 3. So I'm going to open up the Photoshop file for that. And technically I could use my movie poster as well. But let me go ahead and close this one. Don't save it. And I could close this file as well. Don't save. So on this one, I notice I have my cover here. So this is going to be the smart object. So if I double click on it, this is the file that's going to go in here into my cover 1 PSB. So now I simply just have to go into my DVD wrap. So let me open that. Open up in a new tab. It's been a while since I created this one. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to hold Option or Alt and drag this DVD wrap into my current folder. And I'm going to go ahead and open this. And maybe I just want to take my front folder here. So let me take this. Again, I could have used my front, could have used my movie poster as well. So let me drag this in here. Actually, I probably should have brought in a, actually this fits pretty good. So I could just kind of guess it here. If you notice, I have very little space here, so I'm going to have like the bleed. So I'm going to line it up on the left-hand side, and I'm going to move it up. So I just want to make sure that, I mean, technically I have a little bit of artwork right here on the top, a little bit on the right, and a little bit on the bottom, which would have been this bleed over here. And on the left, it gets cut off by the mask over here. So the left is what should align right at the edge. It looks like it should go up a little, so I'm just guessing it based on this actual DVD that I made, the DVD wrap. So the plane should be a little higher. So it should be something like that. And then I see like his foot gets a little cut off, and this guy is cut off here a little bit by the knees. So that is more correct. Okay, so now I could just save it, close it. So it's telling me it's going to close once it saves. And there we have it. And if we wanted to, right here, I could go into my layers panel. I could change the background here. There's also this, yeah, I want that shadow, but if I want to double click there and I sample a color from here, maybe I could do that. That contrasts. Yeah, so I kind of like that. Let's see, a little bit darker, a bit lighter. Maybe somewhere there, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So that's what I like. So let me go ahead and save that. And I'm going to go to File, the same thing, Export, Save for Web, to keep my file small. JPEG, high quality 60, go ahead and save it. And I want to save this one within my DVD case mockup folder. Save it here and replace it. Replace again, and I am done with that. So let me go ahead and save this. And I'm going to close my DVD wrap. I'm not going to save it. And I'm going to close this. And again, if we were going to do the whole spread here, all we simply have to do is, let me open it real quick. So I have the front. I have a front smart object, a spine smart object, and a back smart object. So I just have to bring in all three. So it wouldn't be that much more work to create this whole spread. Change the background color if you want, and then just go ahead and save it. So I believe that is it, yeah. So for this part, you're going to turn in your billboard mockup, your DVD mockup, and your bus shelter mockup. And that is it for the advertising special projects, which is going to be our movie campaign. So a lot of bits to it. It's going to take a little bit of work, but once you get it down, it shouldn't be that hard. So again, a little bit more advanced, but this should give you some really nice high quality pieces to add to your portfolio. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you on the next tutorial.